Hi everyone, welcome back to Quirky Pineapples. If you're new here, I'm Vina. So this video is a lot different than what you've been seeing lately. I thought it would be nice to give you a what I eat in a day, just to give you some ideas of what a typical vegan might eat on a regular day. Today is a Saturday, so this one's going to be nice and relaxed and probably a little bit lazy, which I think you probably would like. But a little background, I try to eat more whole food plant-based. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't eat, Beyond Meat and, Tofurkey and all of those other processed vegan foods and things. I'm also not going to demonize those types of things because they make eating very convenient, just like if you're an omnivore, right? But we're going to have a little fun today making a few things. And if you're new to being vegan, then hopefully this helps you out. If you are vegan curious and you have like your meatless Mondays or something like that, then this can also help you out a little bit. So I'm going to be making some tofu scramble tacos this morning. I don't really get to eat breakfast during the week very much, unfortunately. So on Saturdays, I usually like to make breakfasts that are a little bit more hearty. So not that I'm skipping breakfast on purpose, really. It's just that we just have some really, really busy mornings. So I'm just heating up some oil in a pan. And I mean, by now you guys have probably seen so many tofu scramble recipes. Mine's probably not a ton different than a lot of other ones. Pretty simple to make and everything. I've just kind of mushed up some tofu. Just gonna throw it in the pan. It was like my first time buying tofu from Sprouts, and I have to say I'm not a fan of how it's looking. But usually I get my tofu from like Trader Joe's. I get the ones that are like the organic sprouted tofu that comes in that little 2-pack, which is like perfect because sometimes I don't want to make an entire block of tofu. So yeah. All right, so I don't really press the tofu too much to make my tofu scramble because I kind of want the moisture so that when I put all my seasonings in, it can like soak it all up. So yeah, so I'm just gonna brown that a little bit, and then I always keep peppers and onions like pre-cut up. Like when I buy them from the store, I just like immediately cut them and freeze them so that I can throw them in different foods throughout the week. But yeah, so that's a little hack. I know people don't really like to meal prep too much. I'm not much of a meal prepper, but I do like to prep ingredients from time to time that I know that I'm going to use throughout the week. So yeah. But yeah, this is one of my more go-to Saturday morning breakfast. If we're not doing breakfast tacos, we're usually doing like breakfast burritos or something like that. Though I will say one of my favorite breakfasts is pancakes. And I have not been able to have pancakes, and I don't know why. Like, I'm a grown woman who can decide what it is that I want to eat for breakfast, but I have not been able to find the time to make myself some delicious pancakes. But yeah, my absolute favorite breakfast is pancakes. But every weekend, and you can even like ask my husband, every weekend for like the past month, I'm like, I'm gonna make myself some pancakes this weekend. I'm gonna make myself some pancakes. And I get up and I cook something completely different. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But yeah. So I've just got like some of my seasonings here, like nutritional yeast. And as you can see, I measure with love. I actually do have a recipe for my tofu scramble on quirkypineapples.com. If you want, I'll throw the QR code here, and I'll probably put the link in the description for you as well. But yeah. I do have a recipe for it. It's just that I've made it so many times at this point. Grab a towel. I've made it so many times at this point that I don't really measure anymore. A little bit of garlic powder. I know it doesn't look like a little bit. It's not, because garlic is delicious. A little bit of garlic powder. Usually I have to add water, but again, I don't know what it is about this particular batch of tofu that is very like wet. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I guess some people like their tofu like that. And then I usually put curry powder as well. And I know technically you're not supposed to shake your spices over like a steamy pot so that the spices don't get all cakey, but I do it anyway. Put like a generous amount of curry powder for flavor. I also put, we did that already. Where's my onion powder? I must have forgot to pull it out. And some pepper. Again, I know I'm not supposed to shake my spices over my steamy pot. And my turmeric, yeah. Sometimes I'm not sure if I add the turmeric for the color or if I'm really adding it for the anti-inflammatory properties, but I just like having my tofu scramble look very eggy. Starting to smell good, but I have not put my onion powder in yet, and that's bothering me. So sometimes what I'll do to make it taste a little bit more eggy is I will add some black salt, but I actually don't have any. I ran out, so I have to get to the Indian market and grab some more. Just an FYI, Kala Namak, that black salt is a ton cheaper to purchase from the Indian market or the Asian market. I'm not sure why. It is so expensive on places like Amazon, or if you find it in like other stores. But it is pretty inexpensive if you get it directly, basically from the source, if you get it from an Indian market. But I just haven't had a chance to make it to our local Indian market to get it. But yeah. Ooh, looks so yellow. All right, trying to find my onion powder. All right, got my onion powder. Actually, I think this is onion salt, and this is my last bit of onion salt. So I'm just gonna use pretty much the rest of it. That's done. Gotta get some more of that. And usually a batch of tofu scramble will last me about 3 days. So it's looking good, it's smelling good. Throw this away. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we have recently moved. We moved from our 1-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom apartment because we were in desperate need of an office space. And so one of the reasons I want to keep recipes really simple today and eating really simple today is because I'm not finished packing yet. I have a partner who is really on top of things, so he's done unpacking everything. So like his side of the office is like all organized and ready to go, and my side, oh my. I still have 3 boxes to unpack, and my desk/table is looking a hot mess. So that's like on my #1 priority today. I think the to-do list today is taking care of the office, packing up winter clothes, and that needs to be done. And now I have to go get more potatoes because my potatoes that have been sitting out have started to grow their little eyes. And I'm still going to eat those potatoes, but I'm gonna have to peel them, and so I'm probably gonna use them for like mashed potatoes or something like that. Instead of, I wanted to roast them and make a dish, which we're gonna do later on. But yeah, super annoying. All right, so I'm just gonna cook that down until it is all done. All right, so my tortillas are all warmed up. My tofu scramble is done. I've chopped up some radishes and some cilantro. So, ooh, now I'm all ready. So we're just gonna do a couple scoops of tofu. I've found that I don't use a lot of like the liquid egg or anything like that as much as I used to. Mostly because honestly, tofu is a lot more cost effective. It's just so much more inexpensive than like Just Egg and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, like I do enjoy like, I don't know, making like frittatas and things like that, or French toast with Just Egg, but I don't buy it as often as I used to. All right, so I'm just plating up my tacos here. I'm gonna throw some cilantro and some radishes on. I don't know what got me on putting radishes on my breakfast tacos. I think I had it at a restaurant or something like that. And ever since then, I just kind of like to put radishes on my tacos. I like the crunch. It adds a little bit of extra texture, and it's just pretty good. And like I said, sometimes I might add like some vegan cheese, like the Daiya cheese, or you know what's really good is the Follow Your Heart feta is really good on tacos. I don't know. I think my husband discovered that. He just started putting it on his tacos, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that too. And it was actually really good. It kind of tastes a little bit like, sort of like the Mexican like cojita cheese. But like I said, sometimes I don't even use cheese because I use like this chipotle sauce, and it's really good on tacos, whether it's like a breakfast taco or not. It's really good on there. All right, so I think I'm gonna throw a little bit more cilantro on here. A little more. And a little bit more radish. And there we have it. We've got some delicious breakfast tacos. All right, so I'm actually going to enjoy this, along with probably taking like my vitamins and all of that stuff for the day, because one must make sure that the nutrition is there. But yes, this is full of like protein and all that good stuff, and it's just delicious. Like I said, you cook what you like, enjoy what you like, make sure it's quick and easy. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys back at lunchtime. Okay, so for lunch, I am going to make a curry chickpea sandwich. This recipe is on Quirky Pineapples, just like my tofu scramble. But I really like this one. It's my go-to, mostly because it's just chickpeas, some spices, and a few herbs, and I like to add apples. So what we have is cilantro and chive, some green onion, and like I said, apples, which is something I started doing before I went vegan. And I used to make my tuna sandwiches. I would throw like herbs and all of that in it. And one day I threw in apples, and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So yes, obviously if you make this, you don't have to put the apples in it. And I think the recipe that's on my website does have red onion, but I didn't really feel like putting that in today, only because, I don't know, I just don't want my breath smelling today. So I'm gonna make this sandwich. So here I'm just gonna finish chopping up my chives. Everything else was already done, like my apples and my green onion, and then I'm chopping up my cilantro. I usually do just sort of a rough chop. It doesn't have to be very fine or anything like that. And then I'm gonna add my chickpeas to my food processor here, which just makes things so much easier. And I'm gonna pulse it a couple of times until the chickpeas are like smushed and broken down. And then here I'm just adding a few scoops of mayonnaise, some curry powder, some garlic powder, which I go a little heavy-handed with sometimes, along with some black pepper. And then we're gonna toss in all of those ingredients and stir them up all together until they're fully like mixed and combined, and like until, you know, you just don't see any more swirls or anything like that with your seasoning. But yeah, I absolutely love how quick and easy this is to make. And I will say that it tastes really good if you let it sit for a few hours, because then all of those flavors kind of, you know, they sit and marinate, and it ends up being a lot more intense after a couple of hours. All right, so I've made my curry chickpea mix and everything. I always recommend make sure you taste your food before you like assemble everything and decide like, oh, it's done. Like taste it and make sure that it's absolutely the way that you like it. I've made this like 1,000 times, so of course it's like perfect to me. So when I make the sandwich, I usually like to put a little bit of Dijon, even though I don't always mix Dijon into the mixture. A little Dijon for a little tang. And arugula, because I've said it once and I will say it again, it is the superior green. At least for sandwiches, I don't know. Some arugula, and then like a pretty good like heap of the chickpea or curried chickpeas. And like I said, this is like pretty fast. I feel like it only took me maybe like 5 minutes to make it. And then this is like perfect for meal prepping for lunch, that you can actually like take to work. And I actually do take this to work sometimes. I'll like make it and I'll put it in like a small container and just carry like my bread and my arugula. Like I have a little sandwich lunch box where I can do that. And then I just like toast my bread sometimes at work and like assemble it there, and it's perfect. Yeah. So I kind of piled it up because I'm really hungry, but yeah. It's perfect. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you guys back at dinner. All right, it's dinner time. So sometimes at dinner, I just like to throw stuff together. But I did find a recipe. I think it's like a plant-based recipe for like a Mediterranean potato tzatziki bowl type situation. I'm not gonna follow that recipe completely, but that's sort of where I got the inspiration for this from. And it's basically just like spiced roasted potatoes with broccoli and beans, all that good stuff. So I'm just kind of trying something new tonight, which, you know, happens from time to time. So I'm going to chop up my potatoes, get them all roasted, and then roast my broccoli, and I guess find out whether this is going to be really good or not. So yeah. All right, so now I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil so our potatoes can get nice and crispy, and a little bit of salt, a little bit of salt, and some shawarma seasoning. Honestly, I'm just eyeballing this because I'm really just trying this out for the first time. If it's good, I mean, obviously, might put it on the blog. Alrighty. And I realize I need a spoon, so let me get my handy dandy rubber spatula. Just kind of mix it around. Everything's coated. Spread them out on my pan, and then I'm gonna stick them in the oven on 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or so. Okay, so now that my potatoes are out of the oven, they've roasted for the first 20 minutes, I'm gonna use my same bowl to mix up the broccoli, and I've got butter beans, which I haven't had in a really long time. I feel like my mom would be really proud of me. But I'm just gonna toss in my broccoli, and then what I have here is just some maple syrup, some harissa paste, and some olive oil. And so let me get my beans in there. Don't want to use this spoon. Let's use this. I'm hoping this is enough to coat everything. We'll see. All right, I'm just gonna mix that up just like I did with my potatoes. Oh, look at that. I was worried that it wasn't gonna be enough, and it looks like it's gonna be enough. Sometimes it's just experimenting for dinner. And then sometimes it's just like ramen, you know. It just depends. All right, so this is hot, so I gotta be careful. All right, so now I'm just gonna add this with my roasted potatoes, and then I'm gonna finish roasting everything together. So yeah, Mom, if you're watching this, I'm eating butter beans. I used to hate butter beans as a kid, and my mom would make them from time to time. And of course, now I feel bad that I made like such a big stink about it as a kid. But I mean, I don't know like too many kids that like beans when they're little. But I feel like as I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed beans a lot more. I don't know. But yeah. I will say I still am not a fan of like, you know, just like a can of baked beans. Like that's not for me. So now this is gonna go back in the oven for another 20 minutes so that the potatoes can finish getting all crispy and roasted, and everything else can also roast and cook as well. So yeah. All right, so my whole Mediterranean roast is all out of the oven. It's like still piping hot, so I'm gonna let it cool for a little bit. The recipe that I was using referenced like making my own tzatziki, but I just didn't feel like doing that. So I bought tzatziki from Trader Joe's, which if you haven't tried is actually pretty good. but it just kind of calls for like doing like a smear of tzatziki sauce in the bowl. So I'm gonna try that. And then, oh, this looks so good and it smells really good too. And then just kind of like layering everything on top of, ooh, on top of all of your sauce. Eee, I dropped a butter bean. Mm. Uh-oh, I'm throwing butter beans everywhere. All right, and then to finish it off with a little bit of lemon. Ooh, I don't want the seed. Just like a squeeze of lemon. Ooh. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold right now, so I've got a little bit of a frog in my throat. All right, let's try it a little bit. Get some of the sauce. Ooh. It's hot. Okay. That's really good. I would totally make this again. See? Finding new ways to fix dinner and all of that. So yeah, I'm so sorry. I've been getting over a cold and things have been dusty and gross lately. And as it's getting closer to the end of the day, for some reason, I get the frog in my throat. But yeah, so those are the meals that I ate today. 2 of them are recipes that are already on quirkypineapples.com. So if you like the recipes, I'll link them below in the description box, and I'll put my QR code in the corner like I usually do. But yeah, hopefully you try some of these recipes, and hopefully I've given you some inspiration if you're transitioning to being vegan or being more plant-based. Hopefully I've given you some really good ideas and things like that. I feel like this recipe that I made, I would probably tweak it just a little bit more before I, kind of try to put it on the website, but it's actually pretty good so far. So yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy my dinner, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and thanks for joining me again, and even for something a little bit different this time. Alrighty, see you in the next video.